Welcome, YouTube friends and family, to today's edition of the Wellness Homesteader. So today we're going to continue our series on wartime rationing cooking, and I have a recipe that I want to share with you. My iPad shut off. I want to show you this, and it's from the book Thrifty Cooking for Wartime, and it's by Alice Wynn Smith. So I found this actually on a blog doing some research, but I want to show you all. Yeah, they have the book on Amazon. Yeah. Can you all see? There we go. Can you see that price, guys? Can you see it? Yeah, $832.42. Or if you want to buy it from the collectible section, you can get it for $564.89. Now I realize that this is like 80 years old, but you know what? Not when you can find recipes on blogs. I have a couple good cookbooks, but it's early this morning. It is about 7:45, and I wanted to share with you a golden cornbread with bacon recipe. So one of the things I do remember both growing up and with my grandparents is often when supplies were low, they would have breakfast for dinner. Now this is actually going to be my breakfast. So let's get right into it here. So the first thing I've done, and you don't have to use cast iron. This is, I think, a number 8. Okay, 7. I was close. Pan, because you want to bake it in a shallow pan. I've started preheating my oven to 425, and I'm going to actually put the cast iron in the oven because that's what gives your cornbread that delicious crunchy taste. And I've put about a tablespoon of bacon fat. Now, not all recipes will be totally free of things that were rationed. As we know, in the end, pretty much everything was rationed, right? So I decided to break out my Secret can of bacon grease, and that is the fat that we're going to be using today. So to start off with, we are going to put our dry ingredients in one bowl, wet in another, and we need, that won't fit in there. Here I go searching. Y'all have to see, these are so hard to read, to tell what cup it is. And this particular set has some odd ones, like a 3/4 cup and a 2/3 cup. So we're gonna do 2 half cups because my 1 cup measure will not fit in my canister. So we'll see if I have everything out today. I try so hard, but you know the reality is when you're cooking in the kitchen, I don't pull everything out. I get it as I need it. So this is foreign to me. Okay, to that we're going to add 3 cups of yellow cornmeal. Now this is going to be a sweeter cornmeal. If you are Southern, I had never had sweet cornmeal. Let's see if that'll fit. Oh yeah, it'll fit. Until I was a grown person, because we always had what my mom called bitter cornbread. So white cornmeal and no sweetening. Okay, so there is 3/4 cup cornmeal. I have to double check myself. All right. To that, we're going to add maybe a teaspoon of baking soda and a teaspoon of baking powder. So this will help with the leavening. I don't have buttermilk, so we're going to make a cheater version of buttermilk. So I hope this rises well. But if not, never met a cornbread I didn't like either. So there is 1 teaspoon of each. Okay, maybe not. There we go. Okay. Then the final dry ingredient, the final 2 we're going to add is a teaspoon of salt. And then we're going to talk about sweetener. So I do remember my dad, when he was growing up, telling stories about when he was growing up. certainly don't remember my dad when he was growing up. Him telling stories about finding beehives and wild honey. So you could use honey, you could use maple syrup. I am going to use, it calls for a 1/4 cup of sugar, and it says you can use white or brown. So what am I gonna do? I'm finally going to use my coconut sugar, which has gotten a little bit hard, guys. Come on now. I have not used this, I'm embarrassed to say. I guess I can't get past the coconut, but y'all have assured me it doesn't taste like coconut, it tastes like brown sugar. So brown sugar and bacon, good. All right, let's set this aside. Now we're going to start on our wet ingredients. So for this, we need a cup of sour milk or buttermilk. I rarely have buttermilk unless I buy it for a specific recipe. So I'm going to give you the 411 on how to make your own. So what you need is a lemon juice, and I've also seen recipes with white vinegar, but we're going to do the lemon juice. You take a tablespoon of lemon juice and you put it in a cup. Then to that, you add the milk until it reaches the 1 cup mark. So obviously the lemon juice will give the acidity and sourness that buttermilk has. All right, we're going to add, let me let that set a minute. Beat 1 egg. Could have used a little bigger bowl. So if you were in Britain, there's your egg for the week. All right. Give that milk a stir. Add that in. And then the last thing it calls for is 2 tablespoons of shortening. So since this is a bacon golden cornbread, I'm going to use, yes, bacon grease. And this is kind of true to what could have been done in wartime rationing. You saved all of the renderings from your meat, whether it was pork or beef. This is gonna be good, guys. All right, so I'm gonna just take, I'll learn one of these days not to put my hand in front of the lens. I'm just gonna take my Danish whisk and incorporate all those ingredients. Try to break up some of that coconut sugar. And while I'm doing that, y'all, let me give you an update on my Harvest Right freeze dryer. So I shared my boo-boo, but it turns out I did actually have an issue with my unit, but I cannot say enough good things about customer service with Harvest Right. So there is a set of trays that goes on the inside that have some foil and rubber pads, I guess you would say, glued to it. And they can put off gases that will prevent the vacuum from working appropriately. So after meeting with tech services, I guess you would call it, I'm just gonna go ahead and put the wet in the dry here. And I understand this is a very thick batter. Oh, I thought that was done with yesterday, but I guess I'm still gonna misspeak. But anyway, from the glue, it can put gases that will prohibit, and I do have the oil-free pump, but it will prevent your oil-free pump from working appropriately. So I decided, okay, I'm gonna give it one more try after 14 different possible solutions. When I had my tech services call, I mean, he was excellent. He was said immediately, you know, this is probably your problem. It's not a problem, we can fix it. So it involved heating the machine, which kind of heated up that glue, and then running the vacuum for 12 hours, and then doing another test run. And guys, I'm happy to report I have my first batch of food in the freeze dryer, and I'm doing some apple slices. So, all right, we've got this all mixed up. Let me kind of red this up, and I will bring you over. We'll pop this into the good grief cast iron skillet, and then we're going to put some chopped bacon on top. Stay tuned. So very, very hot skillet out of the oven. I just decided to bring it over here. This might be the first video I didn't forget to bring out an ingredient, but I might have spoken too soon too. All right. So I want you to listen as I put this batter in, because it will begin to sort of fry. Or not. Usually it will make a little bit more noise than that. And you know, if we're being true to wartime rationing, you want to get every bit you can of the batter out, because you can't eat what you leave in the bowl and wash away. So yes, I am going to use my finger. So you do want to spread this out evenly in the pan. And then it says to place 3 to 4 slices of bacon on the top. So what I did is I just chopped it finely. And the blog was really good. If I can find it again, I'll leave you guys a link to it. And that's got the recipe and everything. She said she would have liked more bacon inside the cornbread. So I had a little bacon over the 3 to 4 slices. I had 5. So I thought, you know, more bacon, good. Now in wartime rationing, you would be trying to stretch it as far as you can. But if you were going to feed a family on this cornbread, you would feed them more than 3 to 4 slices. Let's just say you're going to feed a family of 4 and they're going to eat a quarter of the skillet, which might be a little generous. And I'm just continuing to pull this bacon apart because I don't want globs of bacon stuck together, because then it won't get crispy. So that was just my oven letting me know it's ready. We're going to cook this for 20 to 25 minutes. I'm going to keep a pretty sharp eye out. Cast iron could be different. And also because I preheated my pan, it could be different. And then we're going to pop it under the broiler to crisp up that bacon. If I don't keep throwing the bacon on the countertop. So I think this would be a good present day meal, something a little different for your family. Should be a kid pleaser if they're prone to liking sweets, as I am. All right, so into the oven I go. I will bring you back when it's finished and we're going to the broiler. So I'm hoping you all can see the cornbread finished in 20 minutes. I had a suspicion that it would, but can you see the bacon bubbling? Can I stretch this? Okay, there we go. I don't know if you can see, but I do have it on broil. Ooh, steaming up my camera. Back up just a little bit. I did not raise up the rack for a couple reasons. One is I usually end up burning whatever. And number 2, by the time I open the door, move the rack, I've lost so much of my heat. So this is a little more energy efficient. So I'm going to let this broil, and then I want to share something with you out of the Victory cookbook, and then we'll do a taste test. Stay tuned. How gorgeous is this cornbread, golden cornbread with bacon? I was able to crisp up the bacon on the top, but I only broiled it for about 4 minutes because the top was getting too brown for my liking. So before we cut into it, I'm going to let it sit for just a minute. I wanted to share with you all, I was trying to find the perfect meal, right? So I went through my Betty Crocker Your Share, which I've shared in the last video, I think, of the World War II ration cooking. And so I decided to get out the Victory Cookbook and just see what was in there. And they do have a lot of sweets in here, but I thought, I have to weigh on Monday when I go to the doctor. It's already going to be a whole catastrophe. But at any rate, let's not make a bunch of sweets. So I'm flipping through, and this is a very British cookbook. So Jane, you're going to have to drop me a comment. There's something called black pudding hot pot, and I don't think I want to know what black pudding is. Is that like blood pudding? Like, drop me a comment below, Jane. All right. Well, anyway, so I'm like, okay, let me, do they have chicken in here? So I came up with vegetable and kidney pie, minced stuff marrow. So you take marrow bones and cook inside them, which I'm sure it's tasty, but yeah, it just didn't sound good. But the funny one is this one, guys. Sheep's head roll. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to read the ingredients because maybe it just looks like a sheep's head when you're done. No. Oh, no. Oh, no, 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 no. As the little TikTok song goes. This makes a generous 6 to 8 helpings. And the very first ingredient is 1 sheep's head, salt and pepper, vinegar, cloves, mace, cinnamon, garlic, mixed herbs, turnips, carrots, brown breadcrumbs, and flour. And I'm not going to go any further, guys, because I was like, well, let's just put that away, because right now I'm fresh out of sheep's head. So I hope you got a little chuckle out of that. So let's take a look here at this delicious, delicious cornbread. Hope it doesn't stick. Now, the suggestion for this, like the eating part of it, was maple syrup. And I think that will be a good suggestion because maple, good. I'm determined to burn myself on this. Bacon, good. Okay. So, very nice texture. And y'all, can you see the steam? I'm going to get a facial as a twofer. Now, if you were serving this during wartime rationing, you could choose to use some of your precious butter, which I may do. But before I do that, let me just try tasting it on its own so I can tell you what it tastes like, all right? So here we go. It's quite dark, and that may be the bacon grease. Y'all have to try this. It is definitively not sweet, definitely savory. I don't know if that's because I used coconut sugar or because I have an incredible sweet tooth, but it is salty. Oh, okay, there's a little sweet in just the bread alone. It's salty from the bacon. Guys, it is so good. I highly recommend it. I might try a little dip of maple syrup, but I have to tell you, with the price of maple syrup, I did a little research on how to tap maple trees, and just looking at the volume of boiling down, how many gallons, I think it's like 40 gallons of sap to get 1 gallon of maple syrup. I see why it's so expensive, and I did good to master the freeze dryer. So I decided, yeah, I think I'll wait a minute. So if you hang on just a moment, I'm gonna close, and I wanna show you the freeze dryer in action, a little sneak peek. And again, guys, I don't wanna bring you a video where it doesn't come out good. And the freeze dryer is not a quick process. It's a couple days process till the stuff is gonna come out. So I definitively and definitely want to get better at it before I bring you some recipes, but I am gonna bring you some recipes. One of the things I'm very interested in is the freeze dryer came with some small Mylar pouches, and you can buy them on Amazon, but it also had an impulse sealer, which is just a heated sealer to seal the Mylar bags. I want to come up with some 1 to 2 person servings of either soup or a stew that I can package away in those packets. So if it does hit the fan, we have a grid outage, very easy to boil hot water. And I've been watching videos, like I've been binge watching videos for freeze dryers, but there's a channel, he will not know who I am, called Retired at 40. I'm jealous on that one. I was 58, but anyway, he does incredible freeze drying videos, and he's quite expert, has multiple freeze dryers. So if you are a little afraid to pull the trigger on a freeze dryer and you already own one, guys, watch him because he makes it so approachable. Anyway, let me pause you. We're gonna go take a peek at the freeze dryer and then I'll give you some closing thoughts. Okay guys, I will try and speak up. I had pre-frozen all of my fruit on the trays, and also I used my apple peeler, so they're very uniform, thin slices. So we are already to the drying phase, so this is gonna run a lot quicker than say a batch of soup or eggs or something that has a really high moisture content. So this is your freeze dryer. This is the oilless pump, and I'll go into this in another video. You do have to have a drain bucket for when this food is dry, then it heats it back up so it isn't frozen anymore. And yeah, that's about it on the freeze dryer. So this is a very happy sign. You all have enjoyed today's video. Thanks to all of you who dropped a response. I will be doing the budgeting, living well but living thrifty, not deprivation type series. Why can't I think of it? Thriving, not surviving. There you go. It's early, guys. That's my excuse. And my mom called in the middle of the video, so that kind of threw me off track, but she's doing well. This is the first morning she hasn't called to really complain about her pain, so I'm very encouraged by that. Still waiting on a closing date on the house. Today, this has been such a crazy weather week. We are supposed to hit 72 degrees with 50-mile-an-hour winds. So I had hoped to get outside for a little while. Kind of doubt that's going to happen. With 50-mile-an-hour winds, it's not a good day to work in the garden. I was just going to weed and work up some dirt, etc. All right, guys, so if you haven't already, would you please go ahead and smash that like button? If you're not subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. That's down to the bottom on one side or the other. I would love to have you as part of my channel. And guys, we are growing very slowly, but we're growing. So as always, be healthy, be well, be blessed. And I will see you all on Saturday with an Azure Standard Plus haul.